Hey, everybody. I'm Captain Tommy Scoville, and you are on the lifeboat. Let's see if it works this time. Not exactly sure what just happened, but we'll try this again. And hopefully this time around it works. Sorry if I lost any of you. I don't know exactly what the hell just happened, but sorry that you lost all of your comments too. I am challenged when it comes to all things YouTube. I think it's probably important that you remember that I'm not a YouTuber. I just play one on YouTube. But if you caught the thumbnail this morning, I found myself someplace yesterday that had these motivational things all over the walls. You know what I'm talking about? You know, where it'll say teamwork, it'll say whatever. And they had a lighthouse. And I had to stare at it for a long time. And I kept thinking to myself that it's a great imagery. You know, the lighthouse is it's a beautiful concept if you think about it, right? The idea was that they stuck these things out in places where if you really didn't have it going on a boat, you were liable to run into land. Of course, this was long before the days of GPS and all of the things that now keep people safe on boats. So it got me thinking about sobriety. We suffer from the only disease known to man that, I shouldn't say that. There are others now, but it is definitely the disease that, if you think about it, you know, most people who suffer with addiction don't really want to broadcast that to the world. It's the world for a very long time has looked down their snout at people who suffer from addiction of any kind. So if you have a problem with alcohol or if you have a problem with drugs, you're usually thought of as weak. You're usually treated as if you're defective, that there's something wrong with you. And it's difficult to let your light shine in sobriety. It's difficult to be a beacon for others who need help, but it is probably one of the greatest things that you can do in your sobriety and in your recovery is to not just be a sober life, but to live a sober life that makes other people want to change where they are. One of the I talk about the 12-step programs, and I say often that we stand on the shoulders of giants. I am not a 12-step guy, but the fact is that they invented sobriety, at least in its modern form. They invented the ability to, or perfected the ability for people to come together as addicts and get sober based solely on the fact that there are people who care about them, and more importantly, often people that show others the way. And very often we become a lighthouse of sorts to people who are still struggling in the life. This doesn't happen, however, if we still maintain a level of shame. And one of the biggest motivations for me to start the lifeboat was the shame that people feel even when they are healing and even when they are recovering. I always found it somewhat distressing that when you pivot from being someone who is in the life to someone who is getting sober, that's one of those situations that is, I don't know, it's tragic almost that if we could take pride in the things that we do as sober individuals, how many more lives would we touch? How many more people would get sober? And the lifeboat is a shining example of that. It really is. You know, we talk all the time about how we don't judge anybody on the lifeboat, but more importantly, we celebrate people in recovery. We celebrate every small step forward, and we really go out of our way to make people realize that they're loved. And you know, that's one of the casualties of addiction, is that you begin to stop loving yourself. And there's a very great quote. It's become a cliche that gets used a lot in recovery, but no one will ever love you as much as you or more than you love yourself. And if you're not feeling any love for who you are, then it's difficult for other people to love you the way that you should be loved. So I think, therefore I think that I'm doing okay, Monk. Thank you for asking. I've had a few, by way of full disclosure, I've had a couple of health issues, but I'm doing all right. I'm looking forward, and that's it's the best that you can hope for, right? I am looking forward, and there is work to be done. So I'm focusing on that, and it's a good thing. It helps me, right, stay focused. So I've come up with 5 bullet points that I think are essential in this concept that I'm trying to get across. The concept that we can be a beacon to people who are still in the life. How do you live as a sober person to invite others to want sobriety? And just as important, to justify our existence, even though we probably don't need, we shouldn't need to. Very often we feel as if we have to justify our existence to people who have never been there. And the first is to embrace authenticity. These are notes I took last night, by the way, because I was someplace where I had to read these stupid things on the wall. But the coolest thing about this phone is it's got this little number here that you pull out, and you can actually you blacken the screen and you can just write on it. And to me, this is one of the coolest aspects of this phone is you just scribble on the thing like it's a regular notepad. And whenever I get, when I'm someplace and I get that lifeboat moment, I start to jot these things down. Embrace authenticity. Letting your light shine in recovery starts with embracing your authentic self. Be unapologetically you, letting go of the masks and pretenses that addiction may have forced upon you. Embrace your strengths, your passions, your uniqueness, allowing them to guide your path toward recovery. One of the things that happens when we become drug addicts is we put out a face for the world to see. And very often we have to have several of them, right? So we wear these masks. When I was around people that were addicted to drugs, when I was around heroin addicts and thieves, and when you steal every day to support your drug habit, then most of the people are stealing, and most of the people are buying stolen goods and things like that. Thank you, Anne. It's so you find yourself in a situation where when I was with those people, I was a different person, right? I couldn't be the Tommy that certainly I was born. Right. I needed to sort of put on, if there wasn't a harder facade, then these people took advantage of me. And sadly in that lifestyle, everybody's looking for weakness to exploit. So I had to put on a different face for them than I did when I went to church high on heroin on Sunday. That was obviously a different mask that I was wearing. And to become your authentic self and to embrace your uniqueness. Very often we shy away from the things that make us unique, especially if the things that make us unique. I've talked about my memory. When I was younger, the way that I learned made me feel like a circus freak, and I did everything I could to shy away from it, and I did everything I could to hide it. And that's it's a very dangerous way to live. Because when you're hiding who you are and you're pretending to be somebody that you're not, it starts to erode at the things that make you you. So number 1, embrace your authenticity. Number 2, share your story. And this one takes a whole lot of expounding, but your journey through recovery is a powerful narrative that can inspire and offer hope to others. By sharing your story, you not only help to break the stigma surrounding addiction, but you also provide a beacon of light to those who may be struggling. Your vulnerability and your honesty can ignite a spark of inspiration in others, encouraging them to seek help and find their own path to recovery. This one people struggle with really, really hard, and they struggle with it not even just for themselves. If we took the 40, 50,000 emails or whatever I've gotten since the Lightbow started, and I'm not exaggerating, we get a lot of emails. I would say that the subject matter that I probably get the most is people who admonish me to not share my past. There are a lot of people that say, you can talk about being addicted to drugs. Don't. Admitting that you've been to prison makes people, think less of you. Well, I'm trying to appeal to the people who think less of themselves. You do not have to do this. In the real world, you do not have to do this. In this chair, I do. And for me, it was something that I really perfected over 3 decades, pretending to be somebody I wasn't. So when Q and I were rebuilding me, brick by brick from the ground up, one of the things that we discussed this at length, but one of the things that I was never going to shy away from or run away from is who I am. And what I was is a huge part of who I am. How do you look at somebody and say, wow, what a great story of redemption, if you lie about where you came from in the first place, if you lie about where you have been? Now, for me, again, in the real world, you don't have to do full disclosure because you're not trying to keep someone's attention for an hour, right? You're not trying to let people in the darkest depths of their life say, boy, if this guy can make it, if you can go from robbing banks and selling illegal guns and doing all the things that Tommy did and then get sober, in your life, that may not be what you need to do. However, I do believe wholeheartedly that when we do not own our recovery, and in owning our past is a huge part of that. When we don't do that, stumbling blocks get put in our way. What do I mean? Well, you go to a dinner party and a guy says, can I get you a cocktail? Well, if they know who you are, that's not going to happen. Or if I go to someone's house and they go, you're not going to believe this, dude, I just scored, 2,000 Oxycontins. Well, they know Captain Tommy isn't going to be too thrilled with the prospect of being in a house with Oxycontin. Saves a lot of BS. It saves a lot of other having to lie. See, if you lie about who you are in the beginning, then when someone offers you that cocktail, you have to lie again, right? I would, but I'm driving, That's all right. We'll give you a ride home. Yeah, I would. I got to work tomorrow. No, tomorrow's Memorial Day. You get the day off. If you're honest about who you are and where you have come from and where you are at today in your recovery, there's a whole host of things that you're never going to have to be dishonest about. And there are hurdles that you won't have to jump, basically just by embracing the new you. And embracing the new you, you have to embrace your past. You don't have to love it. I'm not super proud of robbing banks, to be really honest with you. I'm not super proud of being a bad father for the number of years that I was. Those are not things I'm proud of, but I own them because they are they're the building block, right? You've heard me say 100 times how I got sober. I made a list of the things that I hated. Well, if I pretend those things didn't happen, then chances are I'm on my way back to them. It's going to be something that I repeat. It may not be bank robbery and it may not be running guns, but it'll be dishonesty and it'll be lies and it'll be me looking for an angle to get over on somebody so that I can get something, money, whatever we so easily can fall back into the habits that we lived in without becoming drug addicts again. I know people in recovery who still live the exact same way. They're just not using. I know people that work people to get rent. I know people that work people for gas money. I know people that lie to their family for the purpose of getting cash. They may not be spending it on dope, but because they didn't fess up, because they didn't own their past, they're doomed to repeat it. And I think it's a huge part of recovery. And pinky waving, you say? All right. Number 3, be of service. One of the most profound ways to let your light shine in recovery is by being of service to others, whether it's volunteering, mentoring, or simply offering a listening ear. Being there for others on their own recovery journey can bring immense fulfillment and purpose to your own life. Through acts of kindness and support, you radiate positivity and contribute to well-being of those around you. This one, this one is one I probably would have preached a year and a half ago, and I would have done it without any concept whatsoever of what it meant. The 12th step of the 12-step program says, having had a spiritual awakening, because of these steps, we felt the need to bring it to others. Well, I was starting the lifeboat, right? This was something that I was going to do, but I was going to shoot videos. I wasn't going to have any interaction with anybody. My goal was to just make videos and people could watch what I have been through, and maybe that would be enough to inspire them. But that wasn't being of service, right? And I'm sure that Q had this figured out before I did. He has a way of kind of seeing things before they happen. Honestly, it's almost creepy. But Mark and I didn't see this happening. When we started the boat, we talked about it. We talked about how we hoped the people on the boat would kind of link up with one another and start to lean on each other. Being of service, where you take and you answer all of your emails, and you and in some cases you hand out phone numbers, and you do things that may even in the beginning have gone against your best judgment, because you want to be there to help individuals get sober. I have found fulfillment in life that I didn't know was possible. Things that I used to hope to get from money and things, I have found through the service to others. I don't brag about the this end of it when I talk about the lifeboat. I brag about the people on the lifeboat, but I'd be lying to you if I told you that, if I didn't, say that I take great pride in the fact that I'm approachable. I take great pride in the fact that I answer my emails. I take great pride in the fact that I live it. I do. I take great pride in that. It's not, again, not to brag. It's not the purpose behind this. Why you do this is because you realize that one of two things is going to happen. So I hit 46 years old, and I'm not going to preach to anybody here today, I promise you. But I will tell you this. When I close my eyes for the last time, I believe I will be standing before the King. And for 46 years, I did nothing with a very peculiar gift that he gave me, right? I had the ability to memorize things like very few people on the planet could. I also had the ability to communicate and no fear of public speaking. Those are the only gifts I got. And I did absolutely nothing with them for 46 years except hustle and con. And that realization hit me like a ton of bricks when I got sober. And I sat and I thought about it, and I thought about it, and I thought about it. And I came to realize that one of two things happened. I either pissed away 46 years of my life, or they were a proving ground and a training center for what I was going to be doing for the remainder of the time I had on this planet. What I learned through drug addiction, drug dealing, crime, prison, rehabilitation centers, all of the things that I did have prepared me for what I do today. So it's been one of those situations where the fact that I work in service to others has helped me cope with 46 years. If I was working as a public speaker and I was telling you how to make money in real estate, when I went upstairs to bed and put my head on the pillow, I would think about what I did with the first 46 years of my life. And the guilt from that would be overwhelming. And I would do things like buy cars, and watches, and, women, or whatever I decided to spend money on, because that's how I sought out validation. And that's how I sought out happiness. Those were the tools I used to get over the things that I had done. And when those didn't work, I went to dope. And that's where I would be today. Instead, all of the mistakes that I made give me a unique position to help people who are making the same mistakes. All of the time that I spent in prison gives me an opportunity to talk to people who have been in prison and say, your life isn't over simply because you did time. Don't let that define you. We get to choose what defines us on this planet. Being in servitude to others after addiction, and it doesn't have to be your life. You don't have to do what I do, but being in someone's 5 is servitude to others. The last thing I wrote, if you listen to it, was, if nothing more than lending an ear. I get one of the things I get now. It doesn't matter how many times I say this on the lifeboat. I'll get an email about it today. I would love to help people. I just don't know what to say. You do not have to have answers to help people. You don't. You have to have questions to help people. And questions will be really freaking obvious, because when a person calls you on the phone and says, man, I'm really having a bad time, you can say, really? Are you okay? There you go. That's about all it takes. Really? What's happening? How long has this been going on? You're not thinking of hurting yourself. Are you thinking of getting high? I mean, questions. You don't need answers. You need damn questions. And they're not particularly difficult ones to come up with. I have tons of faith that everybody listening to the sound of my voice can come up with all of these questions without any of my help. It's just normal communication. But lending yourself out in service to others will absolutely cement your sobriety, and it will shine a light for the rest of the world. It proves that drug addicts are not bad people. You realize that we have to overcome that because of people like me and what I did when I was on drugs. There are people who only hurt themselves when they're on drugs. And then there were people like me who, when they were getting high, hurt the world. And often. Being in servitude to others in some way makes up for that. And I don't mean makes up for, like I'm trying to, I'm making amends, but I would like to spend the rest of my time on this planet making people think that someone who gets sober from drugs can do anything, that somebody can change their lives, literally change their lives, not figuratively speaking or any of that garbage. I mean, literally change everything about who you are and become a better person, a better version of yourself. Somebody that the world looks at and says, wow, he's a pretty good dude. And then you can go, yeah. And here's the things I did in my past. I would like to make people believe the truth, that I don't care how far gone you are on dope. You can pull the e-brake, you can turn the car around, and you can become what you were born to be. If I didn't believe that, I wouldn't be here doing what I'm doing. Know what I'm saying? Okay. Cultivate self-care. Nurturing your own well-being is essential for allowing your light to shine brightly. Prioritize self-care practices that nourish your mind, your body, and your spirit. Engage in activities that bring you joy. Practice mindfulness and self-reflection, and surround yourself with a supportive network. By taking care of yourself, you enhance your resilience and you create a solid foundation for sustained recovery. I think the most important part of that is the network part. I really do. Again, one of the big motivators for the boat when we first got going was I've seen great 12-step programs, and I've seen awful 12-step programs where you walk in the door and there's 100 people at the meeting and you go, whoa, look at all of these sober people, except they're in cliques of 4, right? Or 3 or 6, and nothing is breaking into that clique. They're not looking at you. And then I've gone to meetings where you walk in the front door and every single person there wants to know your name. Every person there wants to come up and just give you a smile and say, we're glad you're here. And it's an amazing phenomenon, because as much as that gives so many people like me, a feeling of warmth the second you walk through the door, there are other people for whom that feeling is the most uncomfortable thing in the entire world. We were probably all pieces of poop at one time. I didn't rob banks, not judging. I did my share of damage. Being a good person is my main focus. And it should be now. I love myself now, not then. Wow, it sounds a lot like me. It really does. I am pretty fond of myself now. I was not particularly fond of myself then. And I'm sorry I had to read that. But going back to those meetings, there are people for whom that welcome is overwhelming. There are people for whom the social anxiety of being sober is too much anyway. It's one of the reasons that they get high. It's a big motivator for a lot of people for why they use drugs. So the idea behind the lifeboat was, here's an opportunity for a bunch of people to welcome you when you come through the door, and you not having to feel any of that. Mostly my time of drinking is because I was around others who did it. Now I am not, nor will. Good. Not being around people that do your substance of choice is a big deal. It really is. My dog chewed up my Hendrix album. Man, you talk about being a loving pet owner. I love Squirrel, but if she started chewing up Jimi Hendrix albums, I would be in a pretty bad way. I really would be in a bad way. I'm a big Jimi Hendrix Experience fan. That's just awful. You have I am impressed. I really am. That's good stuff. Yeah. Be kind to the dog. Well played. Well played. Chili Phil, good to see you, bud. Glad that you're here. It hurt. I believe it did. I absolutely believe that it did. Trish Killian, good to see you. Did I just see Paul? Paul Sargent, welcome from the UK. Good to see you. Do not hurt pets. No, it's hard not to, on that Jimi Hendrix album, but I don't put hands on pets. I've put hands on humans before, but I would never hurt an animal. I mean, a furry animal. The animals with skin occasionally just need to be hurt. You know what I mean? Human beings from time to time. It's not a good thing, but there are times. Any hoot, number 5 in How to Let Your Light Shine is to celebrate milestones. Recovery is an ongoing journey with milestones along the way. Celebrate each achievement, no matter how small, and acknowledge the progress that you have made. By recognizing and honoring your milestones, you not only boost your own self-confidence, but also inspire others to persevere and believe in the possibility of recovery. Let your light shine brightly as a testament to the power of resilience and the transformative nature of the recovery journey. I remember back in the day going to an NA meeting, and it was one of the first ones I had ever attended. And I swear to you, I was looking around the room and I'm trying to find dilated pupils. I'm trying to find people looking at them and saying, who here is BSing? Because I had just been lying about being sober for so much of my life that I'm looking around going, there's got to be people here that are lying. And at that meeting, there was a gentleman in there that was being given a 25-year chip. And, people started yelling, speech, speech, and they gave him the chip. And he talked for about 15 or 20 minutes. And I can remember everything about that day. The smell of stale cigarette smoke and coffee, but the speech that guy made, he was not a speaker. He was not particularly articulate. But when he was done speaking, I believed it was possible to not do heroin for 25 years. I really did. It wasn't enough. I mean, it wasn't at that point in my life enough, but I remember thinking the first time, that was the first time in my life where I thought, might need help. My Jack Russell terrorist chewed and ate everything. Smartest dog I ever owned. The most stubborn dog I ever owned. Not an ideal combination. My Jack Russell terrorist. Oh, that is funny. That is really, really funny. Jack Russell terrorist. Oh, that's going to stick with me for a minute. That really is going to stick with me. But that 25-year chip, watching everybody in the room celebrate that man's recovery with him, people literally cheering because a man was able to abstain for 25 years. I had never seen it. Hey, Luke Skywalker, good to see you. I had never seen it before. And when we were laying out the frame for the lifeboat, before we had started to put the planks on it, but when we were sitting around and talking about it, I had shot some videos. I had never done anything live because I couldn't yet. I wasn't able to go live. I didn't even realize at that point you could go live. I didn't know much about YouTube. I had just gotten out of prison, but I had been talking to Mark, and one of the things that we were really, really, the first phrase that came out that we both agreed on was that we wanted a place where you could own your past without being judged, and a place to celebrate your victories once again without being judged. I can't tell you the number of times that I get emails or hear stories, and I've endured it myself. And I don't, when I say this, I don't want people judging my family members because they've done nothing wrong. It's simply a matter of ignorance. It's just something that they don't understand because they've never been there. But you have one of those moments where you say, to a family member, "Hey, you're not going to believe this, but you know what today is? Today is 6 years, man. I haven't gotten high in 6 years." And they give you this big smile and they go, "That's awesome. I knew you could do this. I really did. Don't you feel better?" You say, "Yeah, I really do, man. 6 years." And then they say, "My friend Stacy's coming over. Don't mention it while she's here." And you just feel like you got hit in the stomach with a sledgehammer, or you got run over by a truck. It's just that feeling that is overwhelming. And it's not that, it's just that they don't know any better, and it can go in both directions, because I remember just recently being somewhere with my mother, and someone was talking about, they had brought up, what we do. And, my brother Johnny and I, and they, she said, well, they were filming something for YouTube. And the woman went, "Oh, you guys do YouTube?" And my mom said, "Yeah, Johnny eats peppers and Tommy helps with a sobriety channel." And the woman asked a question that basically was asking, "Oh, is this what he went to school for or whatever?" And my mom just, like, with no shame or anything else, said, No, he's a recovered heroin addict and he just helps." And I thought it was the exact opposite of that feeling of, "Hey, Stacy's coming over, don't mention it." It was this feeling of, good Lord, she gets it. You know what I mean? Like, she's proud of where I have come, how far I've come from where I was. And that moment was beautiful. The lifeboat is a place for that to happen always. AKA Heather Joy says, "I know how uncomfortable it makes my family." Yeah, and it's such a part of who you are for the rest of your existence that there needs to be a place where you can come and say, "You know what? I'm 4 days sober," and have people go, "Yes, 4 days. You're on your way to the first week." Doesn't matter how small it is. The beautiful thing about group therapy is that we remember what it was to get through 24 hours. We remember what it was to get through 48 hours and 72 hours. I remember, I had hit a week a million times. I had, there were so many, the number of times I had quit, but without doing, something like methadone or anything else. When I quit, there was no Suboxone, there was no nothing. I was in prison, and to make 6 months with nothing in my system, that had never happened. I think the longest I had ever gone with nothing was 48 days. But I remember hitting the 60-day mark, and saying to Q, "I've never gone this long," and he just hugged me. There was not there was no conversation. There was nothing. He just reached out and gave me a hug, and he's like, "How good does that feel, man? 60 days." So when people come in here and say they got a week sober, that's my drug of choice. Plain and simple. What's your drug of choice? Watching people get sober. Watching people celebrate 7 days, watching people celebrate 4 days, watching people celebrate 6 hours. It's a huge thing to me. And I wanted the lifeboat to be a place where that could happen. And I think it is an absolutely pivotal part of letting your light shine. If you feel like, you know what, I'm not celebrating, until I hit this many days. Man, I get pissed off when people tell me that. I really do. Yeah, I didn't mention it because it's, it's only, I'm going to tell you something. To go from day 0 to day 7 was such a larger accomplishment than going from year 5 to year 6. I mean, if you're new in the game, I hope you're hearing that. It is absolutely, Jennifer Rice says, "Hugs emit negative ions like fire and ion detox, and peace to all." Thank you, Jennifer. Really appreciate that. In fact, I really like that. Let's stick that up there. Yeah, Trish, glad you're here. Life is a gift. Celebrate every day. No question, Lemmy. No question. Glad you're still here. Let me had somebody pull out a bang bang on him the other day. One of those things that, emits lead out the front of it. Kind of a heavy situation. If you haven't seen it, you should go over to Lemmy's channel and check it out. It's intense. It's Lemmy does some very intense stuff. But glad you're here, Lemmy. The early days, people are. I'm never more impressed than when somebody is in that first early stage of recovery, and you know that every single day is a fist fight, right, with your own mind, and there has to be a place to celebrate that. So here was my conclusion, and by the time I wrote this, I'll be really honest, I was not in a real good mood by the time I get, there are places I don't like being, right? I don't like being around doctors. I don't like being around nurses. You have to celebrate every day and look at how you were and how far you've came. Amen, Chili Phil. Amen. It's exactly what it is. And you know why and I'm so glad you said that. I'm so glad that you said that. The reason that we celebrate the victories, no matter how small, is because it's the juxtaposition. It's exactly what he's saying. It's a comparison to where you were. It is it's basically proof of commitment, right? You can talk about sobriety all you want, and you can say, I'm never doing this again. I promise you I'm not. You know what? I swear to you, Jennifer Rice, I swear to you, I came this close to saying, I'm not kidding. I swear to you on everything holy, Jennifer Rice, Chris King, I was this close to saying, it sounds so much like something Chris King would say. Really sounds like something Chris King would say. Okay, so 36 days, Chili Phil. 36 days. Did Chili Phil write that? Did I miss that? Chili Phil, you, after all of that, you are not telling me how many days you got in? Right? This is what I'm talking about, Chili Phil. Wow. Amazing. Well played. There's temptation everywhere, right? There is. And to make it 36 days, man, you're in month 2, Chili Phil. I'll tell you what. You're glad this thing is no longer in the box. Chili Phil, into month 2. My brother, you got to do exactly what you did in month 1 for the next, I was told there would be no math, give or take 25 days, so that we can do this again when you're into month 3. I am so impressed, my brother, and I hope and pray you're as proud of yourself as I am of you. It's not easy, man. It's not. And those early days are the hard ones. But I'll tell you this, Chili Phil, if you keep doing exactly what you're doing, I can tell you this is a fact. It gets easier. It gets easier. It gets more fun. And the rewards get bigger. It's harder in the beginning, but the longer you're sober, the bigger the rewards get. And I don't mean, I mean the real rewards, the stuff that life is supposed to be. Your relationships become pure. Your walk with whatever your higher power is becomes so much different. What you are putting out into the world becomes meaningful. One of the saddest things about addiction is that you are not, no math needed once you start to realize you are better sober. It will get better. True story. True story. It will continue to get better and better. And guess what else, Captain? I had a new baby girl. I've not even named yet. 7 pounds, 11 ounces. That's very spiritual, like a new beginning. Congratulations, Chris. People, can we get a 1 for his new baby girl? Oh, that is so beautiful. Congratulations. That is the coolest thing I've ever heard. You know what? That's the 4th time someone on the lifeboat has come in and said, I've had a baby. You're number 4 in a year and a half. Congratulations to you and your lady. That is, man, that's beautiful. And we want to know as soon as she is named. So please don't forget to let us know what you named the princess, because that's definitely something we're gonna want to hear. And don't ask my advice, because I think that every single girl should be named Alice. It's just got an Alice thing. You know what I mean? Full of Hope says, "Oh, I'm so pumped." I agree. So remember, people, by embracing your authenticity, sharing your story, and being of service, cultivating self care and celebrating milestones, you can let your light shine brightly in recovery, illuminating the path not only for yourself, but for others. And that's really I think that's the payout at the end of the line is that not only do we live, not only does living our best life uh, reward us, but it does so much for others. And you will find a level of peace in serving other people that in helping other people, regardless of what level you do that at. Just lending an ear, being in somebody's five will cement your recovery. Being a part of someone else's recovery cements your own. And one of the other emails I get all the time is people say, "Man, I'm not strong enough along in my sobriety to help people, and to give people advice." If somebody says that to me and they say, "The guy asked me to go over to his house," don't. Right? If you're 4 days sober, I don't think you ought to be hanging out with somebody that's trying to remain sober because the two of you will talk each other into getting high. But the way we do it on the boat, chances are you're talking to somebody that's 1,000 miles away or 400 miles away or whatever the case may be. And you know what? Even though sometimes we feel like I'm in no position to give somebody advice, we're very bad at giving ourselves advice. We're usually excellent at giving it to other people. We know what someone else should do, right? Because we're not clouded with the emotions of the stupidity and the arrogance and the anger and the jealousy and the hate and all of the things that cloud up our mind. When somebody says, "Here's what I'm going through," it's so easy to give good advice. It really is, especially when you're doing it within the framework of recovery. Because what's the advice every time? I'm going to recommend you don't drink, right? I know as bad as this feels, I'm going to recommend that you don't get high because it's not going to pay out. You know what? I'm going to throw another one up there. I am so happy for you, Chris King. I am so happy for you, man. That is just the coolest thing. You made my day. You really did. You absolutely made my day. Although Tommy is not a bad name for a girl either. I'm just saying. There's a lot of Tommies out there that were women. That really is just so cool. That is so cool. That is so cool. Another birth on the boat. Man, that's cool. Let me see something here. I couldn't have done that without CMOS, which controls your magnetism. You know what? Nobody in the world knows more about this stuff than you do. For real. That's why I thought for sure when you said that it had to be. That's why I almost said that really sounds like something that Chris King would have said. But congratulations to you and Jennifer. That is so fantastic. That is so fantastic. Man, that is cool. It's something about a baby, isn't there? It's hope and it's fresh start. I always look at those little feet and I think to myself, man, the number of miles that are going to be put on those little feet, right? I look at the eyes and think the things that baby is going to see. Right? You look at the little hands and you think, how many times are they going to shake someone's hand or reach out and touch someone to comfort them? It's unlimited potential, right? There's no baggage whatsoever. It's just pure unlimited potential. And you know what? I believe wholeheartedly that people in recovery have the potential to raise kids better than anybody alive. For real. We know what to look for. We see warning signs before other people see warning signs. And having been there, done that, we have the ability to give advice without sounding like we're judgmental or without sounding like we're holier than thou. When it's just a beautiful thing, man. It really is. It's a beautiful thing. It puts a lump right here. Congratulations again. I'm so happy for you, Chris. I really am, for the both of you. I'm so, so happy for you. That is absolutely beautiful. Imagine if they remade the movie Tommy Boy into Tommy Girl. Who would star in it? I know who they would put in it. What's the name of that woman? She used to have a show on TV where it's just her and her husband. I can't think of her name. She did a bunch of movies too. She was in the movie where she used to talk into the ear of some James Bond kind of person, and then she had to go out and actually go into the field. I think she was in the movie Bridesmaids too. Bridesmaids as well, not Bridesmaids 2. I think she was in the movie Brides. Jennifer Aniston. Not where I think I was going with that. Rosie. That might not be a bad one either. I have to remember when I do a video after being up since 2 a.m. and work a long night. Sure, it's not with extremely hot sauce. I'm feeling a hot sauce hangover. Oh, that happens. Yeah, that absolutely happens. You can cramp up pretty good in your stomach as well. Chili Phil, I'm going to have to stop by your channel and check that out. I didn't know that you put up content, but I promise you I will. What is the name of your channel, Chili Phil? If you could put that up in the comments section, because I do not know the name of your channel. What's the name of that woman from Bridesmaids? She's on the larger side. I think it's called Bridesmaids. She kind of always plays a girl that's a little bit loud and obnoxious. She did a film with wow, I'm just bad today, man. My brain is not firing. I can't tell you what it's like to not remember something when you're really trying to on film. I just had the name too. Field de Burn. Okay, everybody get that? I'm going to take a picture of that, Phil, because I don't remember things the way that I used to. Melissa, there you go. Melissa McCarthy. Thank you. Well done. 36 days. Chili Phil, good for you, man. Really, really proud of you. And I am going to go and check out your channel at Field de Burn. Let's see here. See that? Just a picture of it. That way I won't forget it. Yes, Melissa McCarthy. Look at Full of Hope, all excited because she's Irish. Wait. Imagine if you it's just a matter of time. Yeah, well done, Lemmy, with the Melissa McCarthy. It's probably just a matter of time before they do remake Tommy Boy with a Girl. They remade the Ghostbusters and put women in it. They're about to make James Bond either a woman or a black man. And I'm going to weigh in on this just because it's at the end of the show and I won't stick around to hear everybody yell at me. It is a Samsung phone. It's a Samsung Galaxy S23 or 22 or something. It's the newest one. But here's my weighing in on that. I don't think you could go up to the Mona Lisa and say, I think we need to make her a different color. And you wouldn't do that because it's the artist that did that. Well, the guy that wrote the James Bond books, Ian Fleming, he based the character on himself, right? Ian Fleming was a spy. He did in Great Britain what we were doing with Operation Paperclip after World War II. He was big into going into Germany and capturing scientists and people like that and bringing them back to the UK for things. He was a legit, no joke spy. So when he wrote James Bond, he based it on himself. How do you take that man's art and then say, I'm going to turn it into a woman? I just don't think you could do that. They do it anyway, and it kind of bums me out. But there you go. There's my controversial take of the day. So there we go. AKA Heather Joy says, Chili Phil, I just subbed to you. Now, why I didn't see 20 other people say that, I don't know. You know what? Probably just going to do that right now, too. See if we can't get you some more subs here, Chili Phil. Because we should all be supporting one another. I believe in that wholeheartedly. Thank you, Heather Joy. Feel the burn. I believe you just did the Woodstock Ghost Pepper Hot Sauce. All right. I am going to do a little subscribing on this thing my damn self. Booyah! You got another one, Chili Phil. Nice. I subbed to Chili Phil yesterday on Chase the Heat, says Lemmy. I like it. I like it. I like it. Charlie is at work, because when Charlie is not at work, he's right here. The man is Big Ben. He's the most old faithful, reliable. Out of curiosity, that Woodstock sauce that you did, is it from Woodstock, New York, or is it from Woodstock, Vermont? Did you get that from the 802 crew? Just out of curiosity. Now I got to hold out until you answer that, Chili Phil, because I'm really curious where you got the Woodstock sauce from. Is that a Woodstock rock festival reference? Do you know? See, I like it. He says, just subbed Chili Phil. She says, just subbed Phil. He says, subbed him the other day. I like it. I like it. I like it. I like it. Chili Phil, I'll check it out, but apparently I'm trying to burn the kitchen down. Be right back. Guy, be careful. Could be worse, though. You could have a dog eating your Jimi Hendrix album. I'm not sure. It's from a grocery store near my house. Then we go downstairs and find out. It's not super important. If it's in a grocery store, I'm betting it's probably based on the Woodstock Rock Festival. I'm just curious because there is a hot sauce company that puts out stuff like Vermontster and some other stuff that's from the VT, the 802, as the youngsters say. The state of Vermont only has one area code, and it is 802. When I was a boy, you didn't even have to dial the prefix. Like if you made a long distance call anywhere in the state, you just had to dial 1 and then the number, because there was only one area code. You also didn't have to dial the first 3 digits. If I was just calling the first girl I had a crush on back in the day, I just had to dial 3375. Or if I was calling my best friend, I had to dial 3308. And I still remember all of those numbers. Look at all the people that subbed you. We just got you a few, Chili Phil. That ought to give the old channel a bump. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. Let's see something here. I'm going to back out and then come back in and see what you got. You know what, people? I love it when we support the people on the crew. I think that's beautiful stuff, man. I really do. I think that's beautiful stuff. So let's see what we got. Oh, Lord. When I got there, you had 19, I think, or something. Maybe it was 20. Now you're at 28. Yeah, that's what we're talking about. That's a good shot. It's actually out of Providence, Rhode Island, product of Costa Rica. A lot of the big hot sauces are products of the Costa Rica. Makes a lot of mash. The stuff that, in fact, a lot of people in the U.S. who buy their mash buy it from Costa Rica. You know what? It's exciting when I see more than 20 people here in the morning, especially this early. We're getting to the point where we took a big hit on the lifeboat when we split it into a morning and a night show. We took a big hit because it's just not how you do YouTube. If you want to be a good YouTube channel, you do 3 videos a week, right? If you do a video every single day, it's like Johnny. Johnny does so much that if he were to do 1 video a week, that video would get 60,000 views because he's got a very large audience. But he's about the audience. He's not about getting views. And that's definitely the lifeboat. We're not really concerned with how many views we get. But we're starting to climb back up into the numbers that we were at, I would say, when the boat was about right around the year old, right? We would average, so we were averaging 380 to 400 views a day on 1 video. Now we do 2 videos and we average 380 to 400 views a day on 2 videos, because most people will, you guys that are listening to me right now that are always catching it live. You're the crew. You're here every day. right? You don't miss either of them. But the majority of people pick one or the other, right? But we're getting to the point where the numbers are starting to climb back up. And because of that, and because we're getting a lot of comments, all of you are actually starting to leave comments. And it's really Charlie and Seven's Son. And there's a lot of people that never miss a comment. But now that everybody else is sort of starting to leave more comments, it's getting YouTube to push the vote more. And every single day, the numbers are going up. And that's a beautiful thing. It really is, because it brings us more people that need help. You see something? I love seeing the faces behind the names. I love it when the crew posts videos on their channels. I dig that too. I love you too, Monk. Appreciate you, bud. I do too. It's always really interesting. I saw a picture of Militant Vegan yesterday. A video. My brother Johnny shot a video with Militant Vegan, and it was cool. You know, you see and you get images of people in your head, and then they either look like what you thought or they don't. And he was one of those cats that I looked at and thought, that is just not what I thought Militant Vegan was going to look like. But very, very cool. Well, watching Coppers plug folks in the back on active self-protection YouTube channels has opened my eyes. You know, social media has the ability to do that. It really does. In its best form, social media does just that. It opens people's eyes and it exposes them to things that they wouldn't have seen, and it broadens their horizons and their perspectives, and it brings people together. That's the best of social media. The worst, I don't need to get into. You know what the worst of social media is. The ghost pepper and scorpion Scotch bonnet sauces are good. Yeah, I like ghost peppers. Tend to be my favorite peppers. You know, everybody, you hear people say, you know, all the time, you know, I like the Reaper, or I like the Primatali, because everybody wants to sort of puff their chest out and talk. I think the Reaper is one of the nastiest tasting peppers in the entire world. It just tastes awful. To me, anyway. I really think it tastes burnt. It has this sort of, yeah, I'm just not a big fan. There is always something they can relate to. Topics where people feel alone in their experience. I'm loving being able to share the importance of the lifeboat. And what a nice thing to say. Man, seriously, I really appreciate that. What does the hat actually represent? Navy, I assume, never served. And thank you to our vets for sure. I'm glad that you asked. So that symbol right there is actually called the Yacht Club emblem. It has nothing to do with any military services. I have worn, over the time that I've been on the lifeboat, 3 hats. None of them have ever been military, out of respect to the people that actually serve. This is a hat that if you own a boat, you are a captain. If you look up the definition of the word captain, right? Anybody that is behind the wheel of a boat is the captain when they're behind the wheel of a boat. I am a virtual captain on a virtual boat, and this is a Yacht Club emblem. Now, I have had people reach out to me and say, I got a hat for you, and it's a real captain's hat and things like that. I will never put on a military cap. I have way too much respect for the cats that served in the military to ever make light of it. You know what I mean? Or put on a uniform or something that I didn't serve in. I think that's super bad form. I really think that's super bad form. But I had the hat put away, and so many people have reached out and said things about the hat that it's, at least for the time being, it's back. So, all right, peeps, that is the end of the lifeboat this morning. Ahoy, Captain. Thank you. But I love you guys. Thanks for making this a really great morning. And I hope you make it a fantastic day. For those of you in the U.S., enjoy the day off, right? Except for Charlie. And for those of you who have the day off, I know that this is a holiday here in the U.S. And to all of our friends on the other side of the pond, God bless. And yeah, Good crew this morning. We will see you all this evening. With any luck, I'm going to be doing an interview this evening. It's planned on that I'm going to be doing an interview, and we're going to be talking about some breathing techniques. It's actually pretty cool stuff. So hopefully that will transpire. So I will see you all on the deck of the lifeboat this evening. I'm Captain Tommy Scoville, Cats in the Garage, hunting rodents. I love you all, and I will see you all this evening on deck. Congratulations once again. Congratulations to Chili Phil. 36 days is huge. Really, really proud of you on that. Congratulations, big time congratulations to Chris King and his lovely bride. That is awesome stuff. Congratulations on your daughter. I'm going to throw that up one more time for the road. Congratulations on your daughter. I'm Captain Tommy Scoville. People, go out and make it a hell of a day. The decision is yours. It really is. And you know what? Shine a light. Don't be ashamed. Shine a light. It's going to bring more people to a better life. And that's the goal, right? Let's go out there and save somebody. Bye-bye.